Looking back over the work that we have done in the last 5-10 years, I am impressed by what we've accomplished. The national conversation around civil rights, about identity and expression, around racism and accountability, around sexism and accountability, around intolerance and bigotry specifically, has, I believe, changed our world. My kids are going to grow up as the most diverse, most engaged, most inclusive, most welcoming generation in the history of our country, and that is a fact. That is something that we, you, me, we together, here and in the rest of the country, something we did together. And it's pretty impressive. We should be commended for that. And also, if I have one regret, it's really this. We missed the boat on fascism. I mean, we completely missed it. When the entire world is on fire, it's easy to miss things. That's just how it is. Way back in 2015, the overarching theme for my first year in seminary was the rise in global authoritarianism. What happened to that focus? Well, everything. Black Lives Matter happened. Me Too happened. Wildfires all over the country happened. War in the Middle East happened. Refugees across Europe happened. A pandemic happened. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, Donald Trump happened. We've had a lot to worry about. We can be forgiven for losing track of things. But being forgiven does not mean being free of the consequences of our inattention. Fact is, the world is still on fire, metaphorically, and in some places not metaphorically. Fascism, authoritarianism, autocracy, that is one of those fires. Now that we see it, the question in front of us is pretty simple. And it is the same as it has ever been. The question is this: what are we going to do about it? Come Tuesday, we are going to see a hot mess hit a fan. It's going to happen in prime time. Years of abuse, lies, corruption, and cynical manipulation are going to come crashing down on the ballot box in a wave. Pundits are predicting every possible outcome, and so are activists. Apparently, everyone is using the same crystal ball, and no one is aware that that crystal ball is totally busted. Will there be tomfoolery and shenanigans? Will there be lawsuits? Will there be violence? No one knows. Here's what I know, what I do know. Wednesday is still coming. And so is Thursday. Whatever happens on Tuesday, we are going to be here for Wednesday and Thursday. Whatever we have started, whatever tasks we have assigned ourselves to protect and expand the future of this American experiment, that work continues the rest of the week. I figure we have at least until Friday. I'm kidding, we have at least until Sunday. All jokes aside, our voices and our votes on Tuesday matter tremendously. But know this, the outcome of this election is not the end of democracy. It's not the end of America. It is not the end of the world or the end of humanity. What Tuesday tells us, my friends, is that the work is what the work will look like in the next few years. Think of it as a gauge, a barometer, or maybe a weather vane. It just tells us what we need to do next, where we need to go next. Because we know that whatever happens, we will still need to gear up, pull our big kid pants back on, buckle in. We know that the next 2 years, at least, are gonna be hard, noisy, and probably messy. We know there will be an astonishing amount of malarkey to wade through. This past Thursday, President Joe Biden gave an address to the nation, part of which you heard. It lacked soaring rhetoric. It did not have enough zippy one-liners. There was not enough unity, not enough healing, not enough about this issue, that issue, whatever issue. At least that's what the talking heads were trying to tell us. Instead, all the president talked about was one issue. But that one issue, that is the main issue. The issue that we, the people, need to face today. The issue that we will be facing over at least the next 2 years. And the issue is this: can American democracy long endure? And this, my friends, this morning, I want to say that this is not only the main issue, it is the only issue. Climate change, the economy, racism, war, nuclear war, social security, healthcare, abortion rights, marriage equality, the right to clean air and water, peace, progress, space, science, all of that is important. But you have my permission to totally and thoroughly ignore all of it, because if we want to say anything at all about it, or about our future, we're going to have to save democracy first. Democracy. That's the Greek word from demos, people, combined with another Greek word, kratos, power, demokratos, democracy, the power of the people. A few years ago, there was an American president who promised, quote, "Government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth." I think about that Gettysburg Address and how President Biden echoed it last week. And I am moved by the realization that democracy was neither established nor will it be destroyed in a single day. Democracy as an ideal is durable. It will always be there for us. But democracy as a practice is vulnerable. That can be destroyed, not by a single vote or a single election, no. Democracy dies in steps, by degrees, slowly. It rots from the inside through neglect, and it can be suffocated by gerrymandering, voter suppression, money masquerading as free speech, candidates refusing to accept election results, the big lie. All of this is poison poured into the well of our national soul. And right now, we are facing liars, cheats, brigands, and privateers bent on creating and expanding, get to win and get fat and become even more rich. My friends, this is the party that we are late to. This is what we have been ignoring, what's been sitting in our blind spot. We have been distracted by the 10,000 things and a world on fire. But this is what we must face, and we must face it now. Between them and the future that they want, you and me, people like us. And I believe that we, the people, those that value democracy, that value the rule of law, that value the idea that our best and brightest days must always be ahead of us, and that this future is one worth working for. We, the people, are the majority. There are more builders than destroyers. There are more dreamers than haters. There is more good than there is evil. That is what I believe. And part of why I believe that is that I am a Unitarian Universalist. Unitarian Universalism, for at least as long as it has been Unitarian and Universalism, has stood for democracy. Back in 1961, our very first statement of principles, crafted during the merger of our two noble denominations, said, quote, that we affirm, defend, and promote the use of the democratic method in human relationships. This statement was revised slightly in 1985 to read that we affirm and promote, quote, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. Democracy, since the beginning, has been literally written into our founding ideals. It is who we are, or who we were. Today, our denomination is exploring a revision to our principles. What you may not know is that our UUA bylaws actually require us to revisit our principles every so often. I'm sure you've heard me speak of our faith being a living tradition, right? That's what we mean. In contrast with other mainline faith traditions, we UUs believe that our faith must grow, change, and evolve in response to the world that we live in. And that brings me to the Article 2 Study Commission. As you know, Article 2 of our UUA bylaws is where our principles and sources are written. And it is the task of this commission to explore and propose new, timely, and perhaps updated principles and sources. In the last couple of weeks, that group has finally produced a draft of their work to date. Anybody seen it yet? Should check it out. In the last, details about that draft as well as ways to provide feedback are available at uua.org, and I believe we're going to be sending them out in a Sunday email. In the spirit of transparency and honesty, I have misgivings about the work that the study commission has done to date. I will hold most of that aside for now, save this. Nowhere in the current draft of Article 2 does the word democracy appear. My hope is that this is an oversight, but still the absence is as unsettling as it is telling because it echoes the willful blindness that we have all chosen in recent years. Mea culpa. Too many fires, too much smoke. And I get it. I am to blame too. We all are. We missed the boat on fascism. But we are paying attention now. The time for willful blindness is over. The time for we the people, the time to reclaim our power is right now. As President Biden reminds us, as our history reminds us, as our principles remind us, democracy is the ground of our being. It is the soil from which we spring. It is the water that gives us life. It is the air that gives us voice. To it, we must bring our fire of commitment. That is where we, as Unitarian Universalists, as Americans, that is where we came from. And with it, we aim to grow, to expand, and to fight to become that which we were meant to be. Because here in America, we believe that we, the people, have the right to determine our future. We believe that we, the people, have the obligation to bring that future into being, to bend the arc of the universe forward, toward compassion, toward reason, toward hope, toward justice. We are called to be the light in the darkness, to shine so others may rally and take up this great work. We are called into covenant to the promise that tomorrow can be better, be brighter, be more for more than yesterday ever was, to bring forth the future here today and to share its bounty equitably with all. This is who we are. My friends, democracy is not perfect. It is not perfect because we are not perfect, but perfection is the enemy of the good. And it is with care, with attention, with the labor of our hearts, our minds, and our hands, democracy is how we can live and live free. We can save democracy. We can. We can save it by voting, by engaging, by evangelizing our vision of a better, more just, more equitable world, by sharing our good news and our dreams for a better world and a brighter tomorrow, by lifting up good and wise candidates, by being those good and wise candidates, by supporting and passing good and wise policies, by living the truth that life here today, now in America, is a life where we know we must balance our rights and our obligations, and that we are best when we work for the common good, when we lift those who cannot lift themselves, when we grow and expand our circles of concern ever wider. And that is how we save democracy. But first things first. First, we have to vote. You, me, everyone you know. If you've not already voted, make a plan to do it. You can do it tomorrow, you can do it Tuesday, but between now and Tuesday, make the commitment to vote. In fact, call your friends and neighbors. Do it this afternoon. Reach out to as many of those teenagers and 20-somethings as you can reasonably reach. Ask them, ask everyone if they have already cast their ballots. If yes, celebrate. If not, ask them to go. Maybe even go with you. Do it as a group. Make a party out of it. I mean, vote first, then party. But whatever works. Just vote. Vote by Tuesday, because on Wednesday we are moving on. We have a democracy to save. Because, my friends, democracy is not a given. It never has been. Not at home, not in our community, not in our church, not in our nation, not in our future as a species. Democracy is a choice, and we are called to choose it again and again and again. Amen, and blessed be.